Jay Prince has a message for both of y'all with your comments after what you guys had to say about Shakur. He said, numbers don't lie, haters do. Let their haters say that he's boring and nobody wants to watch him. Sorry to tell you, it's just a select few of you haters. As you can see, there's proof that he has the #1 ratings in any fight on ESPN this year, the top 3 ratings since 2022. And to all of you haters who want to escalate that hate outside of the ring, I'm Shakur's manager and I handle all his business outside of the ring. In other words, Cam and Mace, I will fade all his shots and take all bets.
Yeah, chill, killer. I got this one. I got this one.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
I got this one. You gonna take all his fades and take all his shots and you handle everything out the ring. All right. So then we talking to you then, all right? We starting with you. Since you the big homie, we starting with you. That's how it goes around here. I want to just start off by saying you are so lacking self-awareness. Like when you give such a lackluster performance and then you think you can make threats to people because you gave a lackluster performance, pause. You don't have the right to tell me what I should like or to tell Cam what he should like. That's not your place. Like, art is subjective, right? So if art is subjective and I don't like something, you can't really get mad at us because we don't like something. And you're standing there with two Hall of Fame boxers that are constantly letting their hands go. So I think is crazy that Andre Ward let his hands go. Terrence Crawford definitely let his hands go. And then you walk out with these boxers and you don't tell the next guy to let his hands go. This is a lapse of judgment. And I'm going to tell you another thing. When you're dealing with older people, they're the last to know that things have changed. We not your little niggas. Like the way you talking, I don't get what you mean. We're not your little niggas. Like for real, all that big homie stuff, that's for little niggas. Little niggas have big homies. We're not little niggas, so we don't even respect big homies. I know Killer doesn't, and for me, I never respected niggas in the streets. That's why I always got the problems I got. Niggas would tell me, Mace, chill. No, chill for what? Who is this nigga? That's how I feel listening to this, man. Like, I want to respect you, but I can't. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if I got a little, like the dudes that raised me, if I was out of pocket, they would tell me I'm out of pocket. They wouldn't let me put them on a crash out mission. They would say, yo, Mace, listen. Mm-hmm. Around here, we don't send niggas to do nothing for us. We don't pay niggas to handle our problems. Mm-hmm. You got to put in your own work around here, Lord, man. That's what you were supposed to tell them. You can't go out here and talk crazy and then send me on a mission. Mm-hmm. Nah, this is where the game got messed up when young niggas started sending old niggas out. And just because this little ignorant nigga got a few dollars, he make all of you that's supposed to be real run after his mission. This is a problem, Jay Prince. And I'm going to tell you like this. If you're 60 years old and you trying to be a street nigga, you failed. You failed. I'm telling you this. And I stand, my name is Mace. I stand by this message.
See?
That's the murder unit.
That's what I'm talking about with you right there. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's
You can't be 60 years old still trying to be a street nigga killer.
I know they just don't know you like that. They don't know you like that. I know. I think real quick though. I think, and Jay Prince, he said it. He said it. I just don't even figure out what the fuck. I don't know what the slang mean. I don't know what the phase in the bet, but I take the bet. Whatever the bet, I take. I like that, murder.
Yeah, I mean, because when you think about it, right?
Yes, I know. She got more.
Yeah, I mean, when you think, because I just was with Kanye a while ago, and we called Jay Prince on FaceTime. So he was like, y'all getting together good. So I don't even know why he would come at me with that energy. You know what I'm saying? I felt really disrespected by him doing it.
Right.
There's certain people you're supposed to come at like that. And I'm not one of them.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions since we here. I'm going to give my broadcast shit. So murder. How do you feel him coming at yourself and Cameron and didn't say anything to Kendrick Lamar about the Drake situation? Because anytime Drake has a problem, it seems like he runs and tell niggas, yo, Puff, yo, niggas, better niggas, Drake, niggas. How do you feel? I mean, I want you to answer, but how do you feel about him calling you and your partner out and didn't say anything about that?
You said something really profound. He said something to Puff, right? Mm-hmm. He said nothing to Kendrick.
Right.
He says something, and I know you're going to elaborate about this later. He said something to the dudes in New York, but that didn't really go over well.
As far as what?
Whatever kid that was that got the chain taken.
Right.
And then you're going to talk about all this. I'm going to let you talk about it more in detail, but he didn't say nothing to Wack. Like, it's like, so when you come talking to me, I feel like you're very selective. This is exactly what I meant last week when I was talking about street niggas being selective. Mm-hmm. They got selections of who they think they're going to get tough with. So I feel there's a must for me to say something, because you can't be selective with us, because we're not the weakest on the chart to deal that with. We do commentating. That's what we keep it there. But we, cigars.
Okay.
Cigarettes.
Yeah. Well, just
hookah.
Yeah.
Vapes.
Grape, strawberry.
Vape, coconut. Yeah. Pause. Lavender. We don't duck no smoke.
Yeah. No. So just to elaborate. No, I'm in interview mode since you're gonna go this route this morning. Yeah. He did say something back to Wack, but Wack said some of the most disrespectful shit I ever heard. Yeah. I've been doing this 27 years. It was wild. It's so disrespectful, I'm not going to repeat it. Mm-hmm. But he squashed it. After, like, for Wack would have said that, I mean, and I'm broadcast cam right now. I don't know if it couldn't have been subtle, but I can't be cool with you after you just said what you said. Yeah. Like, it was really bad.
Matter of fact, this is what we're going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to interview. Now, Killer, tell me how you would really say it.
All I should be going viral real quick, just so before I even get to the J Prince shit. All I should go viral so niggas never see how this started. They only see how it be getting finished. So for the people that's catching up on this who have no idea how this started, we gave our opinion of the fight. We said the shit was boring. All of us said it was boring. It's 100 niggas saying it's boring. But because our shit go viral, niggas think that they could keep talking to us. Shakur Stevenson told us to get the strap or strap up, or better yet, put the gloves on so he could fight us. We said what he said, and then he started going crazy. Everything was over with. Me personally, I'm sick of it before I even address the J Prince thing. I'm sick of it. I left it alone. We have not talked about a nigga this much before his fights or after his fights, in none of his fights. However many fights he had in his career. This is the most traction the nigga ever got. My nigga, I had a meeting on Friday, this is no cap, with some of my Jewish partners. Shout out to Shapiro's, I won't give you first name, shout out to my partners. Before the meeting started, they asked me, Murder, why are you arguing with Tupac's son, Cam? I said, what are you talking about? He said, no, we see it in the media, you're arguing with ain't that Tupac's son? I said, that's not, no, his first name is Shakur, not lie. He said, well, what does he do? I said, no, never mind. They didn't even know. They never heard of the nigga.
Yeah.
But because we keep talking about the nigga.
We don't keep talking about him.
Exactly. No, you know what it is? Our clips go viral all week. So it don't stop. It ain't, once we say it, it's viral all week.
Oh, okay.
So word to everything I love. I swear to God, after I got off that meeting, I said to myself, I'm leaving this shit alone, bro, because niggas don't even know this nigga. You don't know how I keep going. Yeah. But I'm like, this don't make no sense. So what happened is Saturday night, I guess they interviewed him, and they was like, yeah, is everything cool with you and Mason, with Mason Cam and all that, Fuck them bitch ass niggas. Them niggas are still bitch ass niggas, ain't nothing changed. This is what he said Saturday night. This is a week after the fight. So the niggas who run my social media page, or our social media page, they got the same humor that we got.
Yeah.
They start putting up pictures of him when he's crying in the Olympics, whatever. The next day is when Jay Prince just say what she wrote. Hey, yo, my man, listen, James, let me explain something to you, bro. May said it exactly like you 60, nigga. You 60. What are you talking about? What are you, bro? I lost mad respect for you because I used to have mad respect for you. When you had Shakur with you, when you line Young Boy NBA up, why the fuck you got Shakur with you? And this is why he acting like that. This is exactly why he acting like that. Talking about you got Young Boy NBA umbrellas and his keys to car. Young Boy NBA told y'all niggas eat a dick. This is what he said. This is what Young Boy NBA said. Wack 100 was the most disrespectful. Wild disrespect. I ain't even gonna repeat the shit Wack 100 said. Mad disrespectful. Drake is beefing with Kendrick Lamar as we speak. I have not heard, this is the first time Drake got into some shit and I ain't hear you say shit to Kendrick Lamar now. Why do you think that you could tell us what we can and cannot say, my nigga? Control your nigga. Control that nigga. Ain't nobody gonna tell a nigga, get the strap, and then we gonna sit there and be like, hey, I think we should shut up. Nah, nigga. This is not 1982, bro. You cannot sit here and tell niggas get the strap and then niggas be quiet. Nobody know that part because our shit just be going viral. You bugging. You bugging, James. You bugging, my nigga. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't know what bet you talking about or all that other slang down. Bet it. Whatever bet you talking about, bet it. I don't know what's bet it. Bet it.
Literally a full-on article, even from Billboard, talking about, the Shakur versus Mason Cameron beef explained, giving timeline and timestamps and posts. Do you guys even feel like there's a beef, or you guys really feel like it was never that big of a deal?
No, I don't think it was a beef at all. I think we're gonna continue to do exactly what we do. Before we slow down, we're gonna pick up the speed. We're definitely not slowing down for nobody. Anything come across this desk, we are responsible to tell the truth and to tell it exactly the way it is. We're not gonna ever sugarcoat something for anybody that comes across this platform. And so make sure when your sports come across us, that it comes across us the way you want it to be heard, because when we see a fight, we have to call it the way we call it. When we see basketball, we got to call it the way we call it, and we're not changing for nobody. That's what makes us different.
And that's really the best take, to be totally honest with you. Look, a great take is this, listen, and that was a great take, Mace. When I put out an album, or Mace puts out an album, if somebody don't like it, we're not running around chasing down everybody that don't like the album.
Yeah.
If you don't like the album, then you don't like the album. We can't sit here and threaten niggas. Yo, you don't like my album, get the strap. What? What are you talking about? Yo, when I see you, I'm gonna fuck you up because you ain't like my album. Your craft is your craft. If you're not good or not excited at your craft, and niggas is saying that, that's niggas' opinion.
Yeah.
Just like we're entertainers, if nigga don't like our music, then we can't sit there and chase down everybody that don't like our music.
And I don't think we need to explain nothing. I don't like explaining myself to niggas. Whatever. It is what it is, like we said.
And no, the reason, on some G shit murder, I promise you I was leaving this alone. But yesterday, it started being all over the blogs and being everywhere else. I'm like, I'm not responding to this nonsense. Because just like Stat said, Billboard is publishing this. And this is not, I'm talking to y'all, not even the audience. Honestly, when have we talked about this nigga this much in the media? I'm talking about any fight. You can sit there, any fight he had.
No, at one point we were saying that he would be a good match for Tank. And when he was fighting good, we spoke of him as he was fighting good. When he fought bad, I spoke of him as he fought bad.
Nah,
I don't change. I keep the same energy.
You consistent. I'm talking about this long. Pause.
Yeah, we haven't.
Right.
Never.
Or any other fighter.
We don't talk about nobody like that.
Bro, I'm talking about all right, Buster, this is what I'm saying. I get what you're saying. The fight was a week and change ago, bro.
Yeah.
This is still, what did you talk about? To me, niggas is using this for publicity. To be totally honest with you, my personal opinion is because you didn't get this much traction before any fight, let alone after a fight.
Mm-hmm.
This is publicity. And you're not using niggas for publicity.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, look, this is dead serious. And I know niggas gonna think I'm clowning and joking or anything else. If niggas was smart, call us to promote your fight. You don't need De La Hoya. You don't need Bob Arum. You don't need Eddie Hearn. This is the most traction niggas got. But niggas is emotional.
Yeah.
We nigga pay-per-view. Secondly, real quick before
that might be a great idea.
No, it's a fantastic
Not just
idea.
promote it. We should be sitting there commentating when he fights.
Yes. Now they gonna be mad at that. But we can promote it. We could be your promoter, nigga.
Yeah.
Listen, you never got this much traction. We could, dead serious. I know it's gonna be like, oh, niggas is good. Think about it. You in Billboard. You ever been in Billboard, nigga? You in Billboard. You on TMZ.
You made it.
You made it, nigga. You made it. You made it. Nigga,
You made it.
you're welcome.
You made it.
You never been on TMZ outside of boxing. You never been in this is Billboard. We Billboard niggas. We brought you along. We should I know you're gonna be like, oh, niggas troll. Nah, I'm serious. Think about your next fight. Think about it, like real quick, right? Your next fight. And James Prince is a businessman. He should understand this. And I know he got other shit to do. This kid, I know you gotta have other shit to do, nigga. You got to. Think about it. You give us your fight, your next fight, 3-4 weeks before your fight start, we talk about pillow hands fighting this week. Get your pillows ready. Nigga, we gonna get your shit lit. Because Jay Prince, the way it started, Jay Prince read the numbers from your fight. And he turned the comments off because the comments was going crazy. I read it when I was on the way to work. And he's like the most watched boxing match this year on ESPN. And all the comments, every comment.
ESPN is free.
That's what they said. They said this isn't pay-per-view. Nigga said this ain't pay-per-view. Every comment was talking about it's free. It's like, bro, why would you show the free numbers as part of the cable provider? It comes with the you ain't gotta push order and do you want to accept $9.79? Nah, nigga, it's free. Posting them numbers didn't mean nothing, bro. Nothing. If you need help, we're here. We got you here right now. It's a week and think about it. It's a week and a half after the fight, and we still talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do big homies, bro. I don't do that.
And there it is. What unfolded inside that room during that tense exchange was never really just about a boxing fight. It was about who controls the story after the camera's cut off. And honestly, it revealed something much deeper than a disagreement over scoring or television numbers. What we witnessed was a collision between two completely different systems of respect that have been pushed into the same media space, and neither side seems willing to play by the other side's rules. Start with Jay Prince's opening statement, because that basically sets the tone for everything that follows. He went straight to the numbers. Highest rated fight on ESPN this year, top 3 rating since 2022, presented as the ultimate answer to anyone criticizing Shakur's fighting style. On paper, that sounds like a pretty solid defense, but when you look closer, it actually exposes what may be sitting underneath the argument. Nobody sitting at that table was denying that viewers tuned in. The issue was never whether people watched, it was what those viewers thought they received after they showed up. Ratings tell you how many people were curious enough to watch, not necessarily how satisfied they were with what they saw. And Jay Prince blurred those two ideas because confronting the actual criticism would have been much harder to defend. That becomes the first weakness in his argument, and Massey recognizes it almost instantly. Then Jay Prince moves into the second part of his opening statement, and this is where things become much more serious. He presents himself as the person who handles business beyond the ropes, with an obvious message of intimidation sitting underneath that description. This is where the generational difference suddenly becomes impossible to ignore. Jay Prince is coming from a playbook created during a time when reputation could be reinforced through danger, proximity to violence, and the understanding that certain people simply were not worth challenging. Massey's response, that he and Cam are entertainers and commentators rather than participants in some street hierarchy, goes far beyond a clever comeback. He is rejecting the entire idea that someone has to prove themselves physically before their opinion can carry weight. Massey is essentially telling Jay Prince that the rules he is trying to establish do not govern this particular conversation, and once he refuses to accept that framework, the intimidation loses much of its power. Pay attention to how Massey keeps leaning into the big homie language, because that was much more calculated than simple trash talk. He was challenging the entire structure of authority Jay Prince was presenting. In the world Jay Prince is describing, being a big homie carries influence because there is history, protection, consequences, and real power attached to the title. Massey flips that concept by questioning who actually needs that kind of hierarchy in the first place. His point is that people operating from dependence may recognize those titles, but he and the people who influenced him were never taught to measure respect through that kind of relationship. That is a generational argument hiding inside what sounds like an insult. And in many ways, that one exchange captures the entire conflict better than anything else said during the segment. You have two men in their 60s defending a code that expects younger people to automatically show deference, while younger voices are looking at that same behavior and seeing something they believe belongs to another era. The comment about 60-year-olds still trying to live that street image becomes the emotional high point of the discussion, because suddenly the disagreement stops looking like a personal beef and starts looking like a clash between generations. Massey is not necessarily arguing that Prince had no right to build his reputation the way he did years ago. He's arguing that an old reputation does not automatically carry the same authority into a completely different environment, where commentary, audience reach, ratings, and credibility are the new currency. And that same conflict is happening throughout sports and entertainment media right now. You have older power brokers who built influence through relationships, connections, and fear, running into commentators whose influence comes from content, consistency, and the trust of an audience. The problem for the old system is that the new system cannot be controlled the same way, because these newer voices never needed permission from the old guard to build their platforms in the first place. Now look at Murda's role, because his argument comes from a completely different direction than Mace's, and that distinction matters. He does not focus primarily on the threat itself. Instead, he questions who the threat was aimed at and why. He points out that Drake, during major conflicts involving Kendrick Lamar, Pusha T, and people connected to New York, did not appear to receive this same kind of aggressive response from Jay Prince's camp, while two podcast hosts expressing an opinion about a boring fight suddenly became targets. That observation hits hard because it raises a much bigger question about how the supposed code is actually being applied. This is not simply about defending Shakur's reputation every single time someone criticizes him. It starts looking more like certain targets are chosen because they are viewed as less likely to respond in the same way. Murda's argument that they refuse to become the safe option completely flips the power equation. He is not begging Jay Prince to back off. He's demanding the same level of caution that Jay Prince supposedly shows toward people he genuinely does not want to provoke. And this is the point where the segment turns from heated commentary into something that actually deserves a closer look. Murda goes back to the real beginning of the dispute, and that matters because it cuts through all the extra mythology that has grown around the situation. This did not begin with some long-standing personal vendetta. It began with three commentators saying that a particular fight was boring, which, based on the reaction across boxing media that night, was hardly some outrageous opinion. Shakur responded by choosing confrontation instead of simply ignoring the criticism or explaining what he believed the commentators misunderstood, telling them to get a strap or put on gloves. That moment is really where the entire situation changed direction. When a fighter responds to criticism about what happened inside the ring by suggesting violence outside the ring, the conversation immediately moves away from whether the original criticism was fair. Everything that came afterward, including the billboard coverage, the TMZ attention, and the continuing back and forth, can be traced back to that first reaction. And this is exactly why the meeting with the Jewish business partners becomes one of the most quietly revealing moments in the entire discussion. Murda presents it almost like a joke, but underneath that joke is a serious piece of evidence. Business people who had absolutely nothing to do with the boxing or hip-hop media worlds were already hearing about this controversy without even knowing who Shakur Stevenson was. That detail strengthens Murda's larger argument because it shows that the feud created a level of attention completely separate from Shakur's actual relevance inside boxing. People are not necessarily being introduced to Shakur Stevenson because of his performances in the ring. They're discovering his name because of a beef involving podcast hosts. That is hardly a defense of Shakur's overall career. If anything, it highlights how much attention one defensive reaction can generate compared with the actual work a fighter has produced throughout his career. And that leads straight into the biggest irony underneath this entire segment, one that even the hosts explain with remarkable clarity. This controversy has arguably created more visibility around Shakur Stevenson than any individual fight he has had, regardless of whether he won or lost. Mace and Murda make the point with a mixture of humor and seriousness, suggesting that if Jay Prince had embraced the criticism instead of reacting to it with threats, this entire situation could have become free advertising for Shakur's next fight. Instead, the response was to shut down the conversation, disable comments, and treat criticism like something that had to be eliminated rather than something that could be turned into momentum. That is not merely an emotional mistake, it is a serious strategic error. In today's attention economy, controversy that produces billboard headlines and TMZ coverage is not automatically a problem, because smart promotion can turn that attention into an advantage. Jay Prince appears to be using an older model of reputation management, where negative exposure was something to contain, in an environment where engagement and conversation have become the real currency. There is another revealing detail in how casually the hosts handle the threats themselves. The jokes about vapes and cigarettes are not simply there to make people laugh. They communicate something important about how these commentators see themselves. They are rejecting the idea that being taken seriously requires them to be close to violence or willing to answer every disagreement physically. And the segment makes it obvious that this is not necessarily fear, it is a boundary. They are showing exactly what kind of pressure they are willing to ignore. Threats built around old-school street authority do not carry the same leverage against people whose entire platform depends on saying things other people might hesitate to say. If anything, the reaction strengthens their credibility because the backlash itself suggests that their comments actually struck a nerve instead of disappearing into the background. Stat Baby's contribution early in the discussion also deserves attention because she approaches the situation from a perspective the male hosts do not emphasize in quite the same way. Her argument about consistency is simple but powerful. They praised Shakur when they believed he performed well, criticized him when they believed he performed poorly, and continued discussing him regardless of the outcome in a way they have not necessarily done with every other fighter. That weakens the idea that this is some personal vendetta. Instead, it presents the commentary as an accountability standard that is supposed to apply consistently, which is exactly the standard Jay Prince's reaction appears to bypass. You cannot easily accuse a commentary team of having a personal bias when those same voices have been among your strongest supporters during impressive performances and among your harshest critics during disappointing ones. That consistency becomes the strongest answer to any claim that the criticism is simply unfair targeting, and the fact that she delivers the point so casually almost makes it hit harder. Now take a step back from the individual arguments and examine what this entire conflict has become. What began with just a few seconds of criticism about the pace of a boxing match has exploded into a cross-platform media spectacle involving billboard coverage, TMZ attention, a public threat from a manager with major industry stature, and now this long, deeply personal response being recorded and distributed to an audience that has watched every stage of the escalation. That progression is arguably the real story, far more than any individual insult exchanged during the conversation. It shows how quickly a completely defensible sports opinion can turn into an identity battle once the person being criticized interprets disagreement as disrespect that deserves some kind of physical response. It also shows how little control that reaction actually creates, because the commentary never stopped, the criticism did not suddenly disappear, and the audience ended up getting a front-row seat to the exact kind of unchecked reaction that the original criticism was highlighting in the first place. The final issue that deserves attention is what this entire segment tells us about where power actually exists in modern sports media. Jay Prince entered the conversation with a threat, apparently operating under the assumption that intimidation could still function as leverage. Instead, he encountered a room that treated the threat itself as content, broke it down in real time, and transformed it into more clips, more discussion, and even more reach. That reversal, where intimidation becomes fuel instead of a deterrent, may be one of the clearest realities of today's media landscape. The old gatekeepers are discovering that the methods they once used to control narratives do not necessarily work against platforms that were never dependent on their approval in the first place. It is also important to examine exactly how Jay Prince constructed the threat, because the way he presented it reveals just how much he may have underestimated the audience sitting across from him. He did not simply say that he disagreed with their assessment of the fight. Instead, he created a conditional warning and positioned himself as the person willing to absorb or deliver consequences on Shakur's behalf, essentially presenting himself as the enforcement mechanism for a fighter who felt disrespected. That type of managerial posture made more sense in previous eras of boxing, when managers and promoters were sometimes expected to project intimidation as part of protecting their fighters and their business interests. But applying that same approach to a disagreement over broadcast commentary is a completely different situation. Nobody was threatening Shakur's money, his legacy, or his physical safety. Three people offered an opinion about the pace and entertainment value of a fight. Responding to that criticism with an invitation to fight suggests a failure to separate professional analysis from personal disrespect. And that exact failure becomes the subject the hosts spend the rest of the segment breaking apart. Then there's Cam's quieter contribution, which may actually be more effective precisely because he does not say as much. While Mace attacks the argument through rhetoric, and Murda builds his case through facts, examples, and the history behind the dispute, Cam reinforces the idea that this threat never needed some massive coordinated response to lose its power. One person absorbs it through generational context, another challenges it through selective evidence, and another refuses to treat it like an emergency at all, creating a much stronger collective rebuttal than any single speaker could have delivered alone. That division of roles, whether intentional or simply natural, is part of why the response feels controlled instead of defensive. Nobody at that table sounds shaken. They sound like people examining a situation they already understand. There is a much bigger lesson here about how legacy figures in combat sports management continue to underestimate the relationship independent commentators have built with their audiences. For decades, controlling access could be enough. If a promoter or manager wanted a particular narrative to disappear, limiting media access, discouraging certain reporters, or using industry relationships to apply pressure could often work, because there were only a limited number of platforms capable of sustaining an opposing story. That kind of leverage is much harder to maintain now. Podcasts, independent channels, clip pages, and online commentators do not necessarily need traditional credentials or direct access to keep a controversy alive. Attempts to silence them can actually produce the opposite result by giving the story another wave of attention. Jay Prince's attempt to regain control ultimately helped create a viral moment that lasted far longer than the original criticism. which is almost the exact outcome the intervention was presumably meant to avoid. And finally, there is the question of what this entire cycle could mean for Shakur Stevenson's positioning moving forward. A fighter's commercial potential depends not only on what happens inside the ring, but also on how audiences perceive him outside of it. And turning criticism into a personal conflict with a heavily watched podcast can change that perception in ways that are difficult to reverse. The hosts actually present this possibility almost generously, suggesting that the controversy could still become free promotion if the strategy changes. But beneath that generosity is a much harder warning. Treating commentary like combat may ultimately hurt the very career interests the reaction is supposedly trying to defend. Attention without positive audience connection is a fragile asset, and by the end of the segment, that tension is sitting right there in the open, unresolved, and very likely to return the next time Shakur Stevenson steps into the ring and these same three voices are asked to give their honest opinion.